Hey guys, what is up? It's Nix here for another video, and in today's video, it's more going to be about a talking video rather than a Digimon Story Time Stranger video. And today's video, I'm just going to be sharing my thoughts about the game after completing the whole entire story and seeing kind of like the new game plus and like what's to offer in the game. So just as a heads up, this video will have spoilers, but I'm going to leave the spoilers for the end, so I'll let you guys know when they're coming. So it's kind of split into two parts. One is for those who haven't purchased the game yet. That's going to be the first half of the video, and then the second half of the video is going to be talking about things that are after you've played the game, my final thoughts of the game, and kind of like where I feel they went and did things good and kind of where they did things, bad in Digimon Story Time Stranger, because there are some things I really dislike about the game. So for starters, Digimon Story Time Stranger, if you're really into like anime especially and really well thought out and like deep stories, I feel like Digimon Story Time Stranger is a great game for you. For game mechanics, they've added a lot of different things that are completely like opposite of the franchise. What I mean by that is like usually in the games they would have skills that are for each Digimon, and they would give certain abilities, and that would make certain Digimon really good and certain Digimon really bad. And this one, they scrapped that system and just did personality skills, which is a double-edged sword. Because to be honest, in the beginning I was like, oh, this is cool, we have this thing. But as time went on, I kind of felt like, I missed the skills of like Digimon actually having their own skills. Because it kind of got very vanilla when it came to Digimon skills in this game. And what I mean by that is that like each Digimon had like the same thing that you could get, right? And I found myself mostly using Valor, since Valor's attack and speed, and it was just more convenient than focusing on an intellect one, especially since like 90% of the skills you get early on is just physical damage skills. So it just seemed the easiest to just focus on physical damage dealers and max out Valor Tree, especially since you're going to need that anyways to evolve Aegiamon, Elikmon into Aegiamon. So yeah, I don't know. I missed having Digimon skills in the game. The combat system is really unique. Digi Attack is such a cool feature. I think that was a plus and like a good step in the right direction. Being able to skip the grind by just attacking Digimon and having the right stats required to one-shot them was so convenient and so good, and I loved playing around with the system to find Digimon that allowed you to farm the easiest. That part was fun. I really enjoyed that. Again, pros and cons to the game, right? The pros, the game's really good story-wise. The game's, got a lot of content. There's a lot of maps to farm. Now, negatives, I'd say, is in those farming maps, they didn't have a lot of, like, clustered areas that you could just spam farm, right? And it's not like where you could walk out of an area and walk back in easily in most locations. In fact, I found that there was no real like farming location, more so different areas that you could get Digimon, but it's still not as easy as I would have liked it to be when grinding, especially to have it be more fun when it comes to grinding. Because of the space of walking, sometimes it would feel slow in certain spots when you're actually trying to farm for specific Digimon. Now, I do like that each map has different Digimon to offer. It makes farming those maps worth going into and farming for. But I just don't like the fact that it's not all clustered together, like that they have spots where you could really farm. It's more spread out, and you kind of have to just keep looping the map, and it takes a while to walk back and forth. I would have rather, like in Pokemon, for instance, and I hate to compare to Pokemon, but in Pokemon, at least they had grass that you could walk in, and then it would trigger a battle, and it made farming a lot easier. So imagine if we had something like that, but with Digi Attack, and then it would have been, if the respawn rate even was faster, that would have been better. So, like, if Digimon just spawned quicker, that would have been a good change. Just that would probably fix it, too. Where, like, if you AFK for, like, 10 seconds, like, when you're healing, that Digimon will respawn immediately. That also would have been better than having to wait. It's usually like 2 or 3 minutes before they respawn. Sometimes faster, but it takes a while. Obviously, a huge thing that's caused controversy with the game is the DLCs. So the DLCs part of Digimon Story Time Stranger, it's a little disheartening. The fact that, they charged $8. Yes, it's not a lot of money, and yes, it's better than like other things, and of course supporting the team is worth it. But it's like, did you really have to charge us $8 right on launch just to get another DLC that you should have really realistically included in the package, especially when you're spending over $100 for a game? because most of us bought the 120 pack, and some even bought the more expensive. They really should have included that. So I get the frustration. However, will I say those DLCs are worth it? Absolutely. If you want to progress in the game faster, they give you a lot of EXP. They're great for grinding, great for getting money. Very convenient. I like it. But again, kind of stinks that it wasn't just included off the get-go. What else in the beginning? So story-wise, everything felt good. Felt like a smooth story. There was never a moment for me where I was like, oh, this story's dragging or anything like that. I was actually wondering what's going to happen next, so they had me hooked to try to beat the game and finish the game. Visually, the game's amazing, especially the cutscenes. They are great. I felt like I was really watching an anime, to be honest. Amazing job that they did. I love the story. I love the idea of time travel. Such a cool concept. I'm not trying to spoil anything for this part, so that's pretty much it, though, when it comes to talking about the game in the beginning without spoilers. I don't like the personality skills system in this one. I think it would have been better to incorporate where each Digimon has their own skills, because that gave them uniqueness and more purpose to builds. I do like the skills being, like the actual skills of Digimon being able to be, transferred to other Digimon. So it allows for a lot more customization. That's a cool feature. I think that should stay in the games in the future. But I really was disappointed with personality skills. And when it comes to the different, traits that they each get, it's stupid. I don't agree with that. I don't think it was a good system. I think they could have done something different. Another thing that they did wrong too, which reminds me, is that Digimon that are pre-Evos, right, like rookie in training, should not be at the same damage that an ultimate or a mega or a champion is. And yet, if you load enhance enough Digimon into them, you could literally get them to be the power of a mega as a rookie. Now, of course, their skills are weaker because they don't have the skill 3s. But if you actually get megas, then yes, you have the skill 3s. And essentially, they deal the same damage. So I don't agree with that. I think that's a little counterintuitive to the system, but I get it. Most people are not going to farm the required material that it takes to make a bunch of, Digimon that are basically 9999 in all stats. I mean, you could also use the Digifarm, which I found useless in this game, just because it's so easy to load enhance that it was like Digifarm is not really useful. Now, Digifarm has advantages because it is a lot faster, especially when it comes to personality skills and changing personalities and stuff like that, because there's items you could build. But they also made the items extremely expensive and extremely annoying to actually farm for. So it's very counterintuitive. Like, if you were going to go the Digifarm option, it should have been very easy to purchase all the stuff required. But instead, they made it harder to grind for because you need a lot of materials that are rare materials. Which, yes, if you have the DLC, you could farm the materials. But it's just extra work that doesn't really make sense when you could just farm Digi-Converts and then just feed them. And it's so much easier that way. So these are, the things I found when I'm playing through the game. It's just yeah, that's a cool feature, but I'm not really going to use it, because they overloaded certain things in the game. Now, this is going to go into the spoilers from here. So now we're going to be talking about outside of just in general. Let me wrap up the first part here. I would recommend the game if you like stories. If you're very focused on a story-driven experience. If you want to try out the gameplay's fun initially. It is fun going, through the game, but it does get tedious and it gets repetitive and it kind of gets boring after a while, especially for somebody like me who spends so much time OPing their team in the beginning of the game. I found myself so bored about halfway through when it came to the actual combat, and I just wanted to continue the story and play it like an anime. And one other feature I really hate is the fact that you could switch between easy, balanced, and hard mode. I think that they should not have had where you can change from hard mode to easy. And same with New Game Plus to easy. It doesn't make sense. Those should be locked out and you're stuck. Whatever you pick, you're stuck with. Because otherwise you could just abuse things. I could go to the EXP map, farm that on easy, and then switch to hard mode and just dominate hard mode because I didn't struggle for farming in the beginning, So it ruins the strategy behind stuff. I don't get it. Okay, so now we're going to get into spoilers here. So we're going to be talking about, actual story stuff and things that I don't like about the endgame. So in the endgame, the story's amazing again, I will say. I do feel like us being Aegeomon was an interesting plot twist, and I was wondering why everybody was treating us towards the end of the game like Aegeomon. And it turns out because we looked like Aegeomon, right? However, I do feel like a little bit that was a missed opportunity for something else, right? It was kind of like a cheapy way to wrap up the story. is that we were Aegiomon the whole time, like another part of Aegiomon, that he created us basically, and he created us based off of her favorite character, or her brother's favorite character, right? I don't know. I mean, it's cool concept, but just, I don't know. I felt like it could have been a little better, especially with the writing on the ending. The other main thing is with the New Game Plus, I'm going to talk about now. So in New Game Plus, it's basically the same game. Everything carries over. And that to me is a horrible idea. Like, having things carry over is fine. It's one thing. But to have everything that you've unlocked carry over, and it's basically just the same character, but now restarting everything so you can farm the rest of your anomaly points without having to complete annoying side quests. That part's cool, but I mean, it's just pointless because you get into New Game Plus and you're like, oh, everything's just like super tanky and super hard now. And I don't know, for me, I don't find it enjoyable to replay through the entire story and have to just keep skipping cutscenes just to progress in New Game Plus, because yeah, it's a lot more challenging, but at the same time, by this point, you've grinded so much and your characters are already so decked out and you know what's gonna happen. There's not much left for you to farm, right? And also for endgame content on the regular mode, after you beat the game, I don't like that it just takes you back to the story and it doesn't really explain what you're supposed to do next. So you kind of have to just figure it out. And, you know, if you don't actually go visit the in-between, you'll never know that you could travel back to other timelines, which I'm sure there's people out there that didn't even know you could do that yet. But yes, if you go talk to the three and do that mission where it has you talk to them, which it doesn't even have as like a main quest after you beat the game, you can then travel to any time period in the game and be able to go back and farm any map throughout the story. Which, yes, that's cool, but it's a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen an endgame, like, post-world, open-world area where you can farm endgame Digimon and get extra stuff, right? And that there's extra little stories and side quests. But instead, I found there is side quests, like new side quests and stuff, but it's in the timeline and it's nothing new. It's just different, like new challenges or whatever that you can fight. But it just, the end game quests after the game, like after you beat it, feels lackluster. It's not fun to me. Like, and again, this is my opinion, so you could have other opinions. But the end game I don't find as enjoyable as it should be. It doesn't feel rewarding when you're doing these side quests. It just feels like it's just extra stuff, but that I really need to do it. That's kind of how I was feeling. One other thing I think they really messed up on is how far along with the anomaly points and agent level you have to be to get Aegiomon. Why is Aegiomon being gatekept for so long in the story to where you literally have to beat the game, restart the game, and beat it again to get Aegiomon in general, almost? And yes, you could do some side quests and get to agent level 9, I think it is. But, like, why is he so far at endgame to obtain? Like, there was no reason for them to gatekeep Aegiomon. I'd understand if it was Junomon or something, but just Aegiomon's evolution, they gatekept until, like, you beat the game, you start the game over, and now you're, like, already done. You're done with the game, essentially. There's no PvP in this game, which is another, you know, complaint I have for it. So there's nothing really to farm after you beat the game. It's just kind of like, do I feel like playing PvE and restarting all over and trying to beat the game in New Game Plus? And then again, in New Game Plus, you could change it back to easy mode and just switch between the game modes, which I think just ruins it. But yeah, I mean, those are the main things that bothered me for the end game stuff and for like the spoilers. Is just the way that they wrapped up the game, the way that it's not open world after, you have to go back to timelines, jump between things, and it is kind of open world, but not really. Like, yeah, you could travel to all the realms, but there's nothing new. There is side quests, but they're not new. It's just side quests in areas that you've already been that just add some context or do something a little bit different, but it's nothing crazy, right? Even the whole Night of Shambhala thing was so underwhelming, in my opinion. It was such a missed opportunity. Like, they have this arena thing that you can farm too, in the Omni Arena or whatever, and it's just, the battles were cool, I guess, to see, but it wasn't anything crazy, you know? Like, it wasn't as fun or challenging as I expected, or, I don't know, there just could have been so much more. I saw so much potential in this game, and then it's, like, as the game progressed, it did well, but it didn't fully satisfy my needs. Like, I don't feel like it was the fun, grindy adventure game I was looking for, because at the end of the day, it kind of, and this has always been the problem with Digimon games in my opinion, is that Digimon gives you a path that you have to follow, right? It's a story that you must follow and go in a straight line. In other games like Pokemon, for instance, right, you don't have to just go down this straight path of just, I'm going to go fight the gym leaders. I'm going to complete the story, the main story. You can go and farm for like hours in little patches of grass, or you can go and fight like world bosses and stuff, or you could do raids, and you could do this, and you could do that. And in Digimon, it's just a straight path of you follow the story progresses, and then you can go back to story events and just kind of like do side quests, but there's no like freedom of an open world that most games would give you. Yes, you can grind the areas. Yes, you could grind some of the Digimon there, but it just doesn't feel as free as it does in other games. Like even Pal World, for instance, you feel very free. You could do whatever you want to. In here, it's very restrained. So you know that you're going down this straight path and you must follow it, and there's no other choices you can make. So that's another thing that I really don't like, and I think it plays into what I'm talking about in the end game, how there's no, like, once you beat the game, there's an end world that's open. I think that would have been a better idea, is having like an end world that is just open, like a new map that you can go explore. Like you should be able to explore Iliad, for instance, post-apocalypse, and then you could always travel back to the apocalyptic timeline if you wanted to, but you can't. In the game right now, there is no, post-apocalyptic, like after you've defeated everything Iliad. It's just whatever the ending is, So that's pretty much it, though. I mean, these are my thoughts, and you could either agree or disagree. If you do agree or you have other thoughts too, feel free to put it in the comments section below. I am curious to hear what you guys think as well. And, hopefully you guys agree or mostly agree with me about some of the points I've made in this video. At the end of the day, I do recommend the game. It's a great game to play, especially if you're new to Digimon. It's a really good first game to pick up. It's really, really, really better than pretty much 90% of the other Digimon games. Of course, some of the other Digimon games will always have a special place in my heart, though. I think this one, they definitely, did a lot better than their other games. Will I say it's the best game? No. I won't say it's the best game, but I will say that it's a very good game. It's a very solid start, and I hope to see them improve more and get more creative than they even did with this one. And again, one thing I really got to give them kudos to is every single Digimon in the game has voice lines. Pokemon has never done that, where every single Digimon or every single Pokemon has literal lines that they say when they use their abilities. It's crazy. I've dreamt of a game that does that, and they definitely put a lot of love and attention into this game. But there's still things that I just feel like they're missing. And that's kind of what I wanted to say today, is that there are things that are missing. The game is not perfect. It's a great game, but it's not perfect. And there is room for improvement, especially with adding PvP, adding raids. Like having things you could farm with other people would definitely make the game a lot more enjoyable than how it is now, because once you beat the game and you beat the story, the game becomes stale. And that's where I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping it didn't get stale so fast. And I think you guys will see that too as you play through the game and you beat it, is that it does get stale once it's over, and you run out of things to do, and you don't really feel like working towards anything else. And again, the biggest thing that annoys me is the gatekeep on Agumon. Agumon should not be such a high requirement to get, where you literally beat the game and you can't even get Agumon. That doesn't make sense to me. So, or if you did, you'd have to farm like every single side quest in the game. It's just, it doesn't make sense. But anyways, guys, till the next video, Nick's out.